Hey Jill, are you looking forward to Easter coming up?
Ugh, Easter again. I would think that with our civilization as advanced as it is now, we could move beyond these Iron Age myths.
So, I see you are not a believer. You must have a lot of faith to be so unreasonable.
You are the one who is unreasonable, believing in a mythical sky god.
No, I am not unreasonable. I believe in math and probabilities. Do you believe in math?
Of course I do.
Okay then, who do you think Jesus was? You do at least accept that he exists.
No, Jesus was a complete mythological creation.
Okay, that being the case, how do you explain the literary evidence for his existence?
Well, lots of myths were written back then, like the Iliad and the Odyssey.
That's a good example. Say, do you believe Julius Caesar existed?
Of course.
Do you know how many contemporary copies of his commentaries exist?
No, but I bet there are more than Jesus.
Well, not exactly. There are 10 copies of Caesar's commentaries.
Well, how many original copies of the Gospels are there?
Over 5,000, but hey, don't feel bad. The Iliad came in second with 100. You weren't too good at math, were you, Jill?
Okay, I will concede that there was a prophet named Jesus. But all that nonsense about miracles and rising from the dead, surely that is all nonsense. You can't really believe that, can you?
Well, you have a brother, right?
Yes.
If your brother said he was God, what would you think?
That he was a nut.
No doubt. As did James, Jesus' brother, during Jesus' lifetime. But after the resurrection, James became a follower and was eventually killed for saying that Jesus was the Messiah. Something convinced him Jesus was God. He was convinced after seeing Jesus after he rose from the dead.
There's no proof of that. Miracles are impossible.
Well, how else do you explain James' conversion, or the empty tomb?
Perhaps the followers of Jesus stole the body.
Would you willingly die for something you knew to be a lie? If they stole the body, they would know that he did not rise from the dead. All of the original apostles were killed for saying that Jesus was God and rose from the dead. Why would they do that if they knew it to be a lie?
Maybe they were confused. From what I know about the Bible, none of the original apostles actually saw the tomb on Easter, and they forgot where it was.
Mary and Mary Magdalene were the first visitors to the tomb, and that fact, and the fact that it was written in the Gospel, is proof in and of itself. Knowing that women's testimony in those days was not officially reliable, the story would have been embarrassing to the early church. The fact that it is in the Gospel shows that it is true. I would think that the fact that from a small group of around 12 people, within 300 years millions of people came to accept that Jesus was God and rose from the dead is the best proof that exists. To believe and say that Jesus was God was a capital offense, so the fact that Christianity rose so fast and so completely under those circumstances is proof of its truth.
I still say it's a myth.
Well, as I said earlier, math and logic are not your strong suits. But hey, you are allowed to believe what you want. But you should know that you believe it to be a myth because you want it to be a myth. You don't like the implications of a risen Christ.
All of your so-called evidence is biased. It is all coming from the hateful book known as the Bible, and is therefore invalid.
Josephus, not in the Bible or a Christian, wrote about Jesus, a man who performed miracles and was claimed by his followers to have risen from the dead. Josephus was a contemporary of Christ. Claudius, emperor of Rome, expelled the Jews from Rome within 10 years after Jesus' death due controversies in the community relating to arguments over Jesus' resurrection. The emperor also posted a sign in Jerusalem stating the death penalty for anyone caught robbing a grave. Obviously this was in reaction to the serious controversy over Jesus' resurrection and the fact that some tried to claim the body was stolen. Pliny, Suetonius, Tacitus and many others all make reference to early followers of Christ and the fact that they claimed that Christ rose from the dead.
Okay already, but really, Jesus is just another name for Mithras or Osiris, or any of the other so-called gods of that time. They just did the same for Jesus.
Let me ask you a question. If Jesus is a myth like these others, when was Osiris, or Mithras, alive? We know the actual date of Jesus' crucifixion. When did Mithras live? The sad and ugly truth is, you atheists have chosen to not believe despite overwhelming evidence. Ironically enough, I do not have the faith you have. I can be persuaded by logic, reason and math, and that has convinced me that Jesus did rise from the dead, and therefore is the Son of God.
Why do you hate science?